everyone, and welcome to AC Spotlight. Today, I'm joined by Peter, the Dragon Hammer himself, creator and writer of Beefy Shotgun Wizards, an upcoming D6 system, and the owner and con organizer of Beefy Wizard Con, a get-together for those who love war games in the community. Welcome, Peter.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Michael. I'm really excited to be here. Really excited to be talking with you and your folks.
Absolutely. I think what you're doing is incredible. I always like to begin these interviews with a bit of non sequitur, just sort of break the tension, break the ice. What is your favorite tabletop snack of choice?
Oh, tabletop snack of choice. That is a tough one. I like peanuts. Peanuts are easy.
Sure.
Keep the energy up.
Honestly, and it's not like a crunch, so you're not interrupting anyone's scene at the moment. You can control how much you're getting, so that way you're like, oh, hold on, give me a second. You don't have to put a whole cookie in the mouth. I get so many answers for that particular question. I've heard some wild ones. Like
now I'm a bit curious. What's the wildest one you've heard?
I've got some really good ones. I've got a really good answer, which was grapes. And I was like, that's smart because it's small and it doesn't make a lot of noise. And then I got a really wild one, which is I'm full on hard chips. I want the crunch. And I was like, what? Okay. All right. Yes. We got the attention. Now, before there was Beefy Shotgun Wizards, which I really want to talk about, but I'm going to push that to the side for a hot second. You did make a one-shot for Knave called The Lair of the Rat King and Sewer Thing. Was that technically your first romp into TTRPG content?
So the first formal one I did, if you check out my itch page, was actually for the Shadow Dark game jam a few months prior, the Liminal Palace of the Dreamer Beyond. It is not a good module. I will stand by a lot of the concepts. I think there's some cool stuff in there as sort of like an archival piece, but it was not. I was like printing to PDF from Google Docs with that one, really sort of finding my way. So, but yeah, the Rat King and the sewer thing is really, I stand by that. It's a solid, it's a beginner's effort, but a solid adventure.
For those in the creative space, and I do consider, obviously you are in the creative space, that's not uncommon. Is like, I don't look at my earlier stuff as well. I cannot stand looking at anything that's beyond maybe a year. I don't exist at that point.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, that's incredible. I mean, beyond sort of the one I was talking about in terms of the Rat King and Sewer thing, that was sort of your romped into it. Like what inspired you to start making, these supplements and one shots?
Yeah, so I've been running games for quite some time. I started playing RPGs in middle school, got more into war games for a number of years, and then sort of dropped out in my 20s into, mostly in my 20s into early 30s, which is a story I keep hearing a lot from folks. But I've been DMing now, back in DMing for a little over 10 years, and I just I had a lot of fun creating different like artifacts for my players, drawing maps, things like that. And you create a lot of content as a DM that you don't end up putting out there into the world. And I just, it sort of got that itch and wanted to try it out. So as the game jam scene became more familiar to me, I was like, hey, I'll try this. So the writing, yeah. So the writing of it at first came really naturally, but then, learning a little bit more about layout, finding ways to, putz around with Canva to take what I, bash together a few different pieces I've made to actually make a usable cover, things like that. It was a lot of fun.
Speaking of cover, sticking by the whole Rat King and Sewer thing, one shot that you built, that book is absolutely gorgeous. The art style, the design, it's all oozing with style. And also this particular art style, as well as a lot of the other art that you've done, can be found on your Instagram as well as your other socials. How long have you been doing this sort of dark surrealism, Bernie Wrightson like art?
Well, thank you for that compliment.
I've noticed, I was like, this is like, I have the Frankenstein book. When I saw that immediately, that was the first thing that snapped. I was like, oh, this looks exactly like, this is so good.
Well, I do need to differentiate. So Daniel Harilla Carlson is my, more than just the artist I work with, is really an amazing creative partner. Like we bounce ideas off each other a lot. So anything Beefy Shotgun Wizards related is Daniel. The Rat King and the Sewer thing, that is all me, and I do post some of my own art and scribblings, which I dabble, but I want to clearly differentiate from, Daniel's a fantastic artist, and I've actually met him doing the Knave game jam.
Oh, cool.
Which is how we ended up connecting. But yeah, just want to make very crystal clear, I'm not taking credit for his artwork.
No, I'm specifically. Yeah, I was specifically talking about the Rat King Super thing, and obviously all the credits are there, especially on the Beefy Shotgun Wizards book as well. Shout out to that. Speaking of which, dude, I don't think when I did the introduction, saying that it's a D6 system, that I did it much justice, because I didn't even touch upon the fact that it deals with a Jenga tower too.
Yes,
the
Jenga tower is big.
For those who are unaware of this system as a whole, do you mind giving us an overview?
Yeah, the elevator pitch is you are high-level wizards. The action picks up when you're in the middle of the dungeon. You've run out of spells, but you're beefy and you have your shotguns. So it started out as a stupid joke, the idea of the old school, first, second edition wizard that has deep 4 hit points. What if they were actually like a badass 80s action hero? So you're all wizards, but you're not using magic. The D6 gameplay was very much inspired by like 3rd edition 40K, which there's a lot of notable differences, but that vibe of I'm a badass character, I'm gonna throw a handful of dice and do a lot of cool shit. And then the Jenga tower, it's funny because I never would have thought of it without Dread. I can't remember how I connected those dots, but I never would have thought of incorporating it without Dread. That really came up because I love the idea of tracking inventory, really having that feel weighty and matter. And it just, the note keeping has never really, it's never gotten the feeling for me. It's not a criticism of other systems, but I want that visceral feeling. And the dungeon, or the tower, really does that. So as you advance in the dungeon, you go room to room, you make a decision about resting, about looting. You pull a block. There are some enemies that can force you to pull blocks, but I've received some skepticism when I describe this to people. I tell everyone, don't knock it till you try it. When you get on hour 3 of a game and the tower's wobbling, it really the palpable tension is real. So
right, yeah. By the second, third hour, everyone at the table, their hands are up. No one wants to shake the table. No one's moving.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot of erasing that goes on in the game too. Your gear gets destroyed quite easily. So there always is a point at which people start yelling. It's like, go use the wall, stop erasing. So that is that was a fun unintended consequence. There's a lot of erasing in the game, and that can add some tension in the later phases.
I love that, and the fact that you guys thought ahead, and then you involved a variant rule for online play too. How important was it when you were starting to build Beefy Shotgun Wizards that you were like, well, this has to incorporate all types of play?
Yeah, it's, I end up, like many people, I'd not really been a fan of online play. Then COVID hit, and that's all we had for a while. And really for me now, I got 3 young kids. I don't have a lot of time to be going out in the evenings, but playing online is what lets me game regularly. We can get the kids down, and then I can pop on for a couple hours. So I wanted to make sure, it is a game best experienced, I think, in person with the Jenga tower, but having options so that you could play online is great. I have a friend of mine who does the Worlds Away podcast, actually ran Beefy Shotgun Wizards, did like a 6-episode arc of his live play, or his actual play. And that was cool because they used the dice pool system, and I was able to see like, oh, this works. It works. And I've run it a decent amount on time or online. It works well. It's not the same as the Jenga tower, but
Right.
it's
Yeah.
still perfectly. You can still have a blast. You can still have a blast online.
The moment the tower starts to sway, that's when everyone's stomach starts to go into their chest. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's always you can always tell that a game is going to be very good when there is sort of like this built-in mechanic for a timer, especially for like one shots. Jenga tower is a perfect use of that. Of like, hey, the more you start to muck around, the more you start to rest more, the more pieces you're going to take away, and then your timer starts to shrink, which is incredible for one shots. But you guys are, especially for the full release, you're also incorporating new rules for full-on campaigns. Is that right?
Yes, yes, yes. So at the end of every session, there's a revelry phase. I primarily run it as one shots, but you can sell everything you find once you get back to town. And there'll be a system where you can purchase a combination of upgrades, so you can advance your stats. You can also buy specialized gear. And I'm still fiddling around a bit, but with the dungeon retch rules, I glazed over this quickly. So you can use your dungeon wretches as human shields in the game.
Yes, you
They
can.
also,
I've read this. You can get hirelings and going, great, I've got a bunch of bodies taped to my person.
exactly. But I have some variant rules where there's like familiars who are dungeon wretches that can't carry anything, but they give bonuses. So I'm playing around with different sort of like utility wretches, and it actually works well in terms of scaling up complexity. I've actually had a lot of repeat players come back at different conventions, and going from the first dungeon, Demon Mine of the Nine-Eyed Freak, which anyone can download on my itch page right now. It's included in the quick shot, up to the Murder of the Anti-Mage, which is the most recent one I ran. That has a lot of sort of wild gear, and I introduced mounts as well, which is a dungeon wretch that you can ride and give you some movement options. But it's a great way to, I tell everyone, within 15 minutes, you'll be shooting bad guys. And true enough, like we can go through character creation with a table full of people that have never played and be moving. And as the session goes on, it scales up as they find weirder and weirder items. So I've been really happy with the gameplay experience that we've been able to provide.
That's incredible. So last question in terms of a beefy shotgun wizard, and I thought of this just because how visceral the images as well as the art. Shout out against again to the artist, but just the way that you've built sort of the system, it very much feels like hard, rugged 80s action movie kind of stars going through. Like, imagine like a wizard going, I don't need the hat anymore, I cast gun. Kind of like the mentality that sort of really started to flow with me.
Exactly.
I want to have you pretend that Beefy Shotgun Wizard was made into a movie. Okay.
Ooh.
Now, which one of these actors would you cast to be the lead star? And it is controversial because I have a favorite, but we'll see, because there's an unwritten rule. We'll see how you go. Current day Arnold Schwarzenegger. So we're gonna go current day. So he's a little older now, but you know what? He's kind of fits the art style, a little bit of an older wizard. Or young Bruce Campbell.
Oh, that's tough. That's tough. I'm gonna answer this with an out. Arnold is the wizard and Bruce is his dungeon wretch.
Oh, that's brilliant. That is brilliant. Oh, I didn't think there was a double answer there, but there was. You found it.
What was your answer? Did I get it right?
Yeah, well, I mean, having Bruce Campbell, I'm a big Bruce fan. Can't go wrong with the chin. Plus, shotgun just sort of immediately clicked with me. Now, by the time this video does come out, Beefy Wizard Con has just passed. Probably just passed too. And to us, in the time that we're recording, we're about a few weeks out. What was the spark that made you want to create this con in the first place?
So I really had such a blast getting into this scene. I'm very new to the indie publishing scene, and I've just been very fortunate. I mentioned meeting Daniel Harilla Carlson. Go check him out on Blue Sky. He's on Blue Sky. Encountering him during the Knave Game Jam, and he introduced me to Walton Wood, who's edited. You should look up his editing credits. He's done like Glumdark. He's done a number of Exalted Funeral projects. A Ninja Board is also his big game. And from there, I've just been so lucky to be connected with so many amazing creators that have all like given me the time of day, given me advice, things like that. So all that is to say, the indie community has become very special to me, and I wanted to do something that was sort of a celebration of that. I'm lucky to be in Madison, Wisconsin, where we have like Gamehole Con. I just came back from GaryCon, which is down, just a couple
Oh,
hours
nice.
south of Geneva. But yeah, I don't have to travel too far in order to get to places or really, top tier conventions. But there was nothing that scratched that sort of indie itch. Another thing is I really love kit bashing and sort of the art side. I mentioned, liking 40K back in the day. So I've seen from afar. I don't know if you were familiar with like Camping Kit Bash or some of the not exclusive to Europe, but a lot of events.
Yeah, I've got a few war friends who do. It's been part of the discussion. I've never been involved in it directly, but obviously as an outsider looking in, you're just like, oh man, I don't know if this is gonna suck off like the rest of my week. This is gonna take the rest of my days, and I don't know what it's gonna happen the rest of my hours.
Yeah, but it's something that I've always really enjoyed, like crafting, especially now with kids. Like my daughter, my 4-year-old, was helping me build Necromunda bridges. She's delightfully chaotic plank placement.
Oh yeah.
I always wanted to go to something like that. There's nothing like that around, at least that I've encountered, and so I thought, I turned 40 last year and had sort of a mini like joke convention where I got all my friends that played games and some that were curious together. And I realized like I was halfway to making a convention, so I said, why not just go for it? And it's going really well. By the time this airs, I will have amazing stories that hopefully I'll get to share next time. But
Incredible. Yeah, everyone go follow him on we'll obviously do another plug at the end of this, but please go follow, like, what socials do you usually are very active? Because then people could definitely, after this whole interview, could be like, oh, I can check out all the videos and pictures.
Yeah, Dungeons and Hammers on Instagram is the one I'm most active on. There is a Dungeons and Hammers Facebook group. I'm not nearly as good there. I am on Blue Sky as well. I keep that up, but Instagram's really the one that kind of took off. I have my itch.io page. By the time this is out, I will have a new edition of the Quick Shot out.
Ooh,
it's
cool.
mostly going to be quality of life things. I do have, I will say, plenty of new tables that are going to go in there. So if people like the random tables, I very much pride myself on the ridiculous loot that people can find. If you want even more of that, there will be more of that. So go download.
I love that. So yeah, it's like obviously Beef Wizard Con, shotgun beef shotgun wizards are going to be there sort of as a main staple. But it's great that you have this mindset of like, hey, focusing on the indie games, supporting sort of these smaller voices, which I think is really, really awesome. Beyond the con and beyond what you've been building, and maybe I'm reading too much into this, but I'm going to give you a compliment. You're a very talented artist, both with illustrations as well as miniature painting. I've seen those images as well. So you've done that. You're a person with this creative drive that you're creating these homebrew systems, brand new, as well as running events. I mean, who else can say that they've run a con? That's a lot of creative juice, man. Before we started this call, I was like, you've got a lot of things, a lot of irons in the fire. What makes it so enjoyable to keep building and keep creating?
I like organizing projects. I think without going all the way into it, I spent a lot of time in my youth, just starting out in my career, doing jobs that were like really sort of 24/7, very intense. And I think as I've gotten older and balanced more and made some more time for life, as I'll put it, I've still I gotta scratch that itch, and this scratches that itch. I love just being around people that bring that creative energy, and especially with the event, just being able to create something like that people respond to is it's great. I love that community building aspect of it. And also, I mentioned my kids. My young daughter, we don't play anything as formal as like D&D really, but she wants to help me play my games, and being able to build something, start building up a community locally, or finding a community locally. There's a lot that exists in Madison. I'm very, very fortunate to be out here. Um, I'm thinking about like what kind of gaming group do I want to be a part of, and like bring my kids up into, and things like that. So, a bit of a rambling answer, but
No, it's fine. Incredible. Well, I thank you so much, Peter, for joining me, and not only for sharing your creativity and your adventures and these new systems and the conventions, not just with me, but everyone on the internet to enjoy. Once again, where can people find you in the projects that you're working on?
yes, so you can find me on Instagram. I'm easy to get in touch with on there. Dungeons and Hammers, just with the N in the middle. I also have the itch.io page, Dungeons and Hammers. You can go download the quick shot of Beefy Shotgun Wizards there. I do have a Patreon, also Dungeons and Hammers. It's a bit smaller, but really, I mean, go to the itch page, go find me on Instagram, download the stuff there. Hopefully, by the time this airs, I will lock in the dates for Beefy Wizard Con 2.
Nice.
I'm already wanting to do something next year. So but yeah. So go find me on Instagram. Go find me on itch, where I'll continue to put out content.
Great. Thank you so much. And for everyone else watching, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.